speaking about running, gentlemen, there wasn't a lot of that going on against Manchester City. And Chris, to open up, I just want to start off, mate, by asking around that game. Why are we capitulating so easily? Because, we've seen a lot over the last few years, but if there's one thing that we would all say this team has had in abundance in years gone by, it's mental fortitude and strength. And we just gave up against Manchester City either side of halftime.
Yeah, it was a pattern we've seen so many times this season. I actually thought the first half an hour we were the better team. Which is, I was genuinely surprised at that first half an hour. Like, I was like, wow, we're actually playing some really nice stuff without really threatening, but still being the better side. And then as soon as the first goal went in, it was like the floodgates just completely open. No one was tracking runners. No one was getting crosses cut out. It was a really depressing time. And they just, as they would do as an elite side, they carved us apart. Every chance they got seemed to be a goal, and yeah, it was a pretty horrific watch. And I as you said, over the last few years, the mentality monsters. I'd even argue that the start of this season, even though we were potentially lucky in a few games, we still had a feeling that we can still get back into this. We can still do it. Now it's like we're either holding on, or even when we're ahead, it feels like I don't know. It just feels so drab at the moment, boys. I don't know what to say about it. It's grim viewing.
Connor, we don't ever say the lads down tools because it's a big accusation to make, but I can't lie, my friend. I'm getting close. I'm getting close to wondering, like, yes, we will talk about the manager, and we have done ad nauseum, but what on earth is happening with the attitude of some of these players, mate?
I think they have just down tools at this point, to be honest. So even like Szoboszlai coming out afterwards and Van Dijk basically saying once that third goal went in, they were just like, well, that's game over. And you could see that, like I said, the effort stopped, the running stopped. And I agree with Chris as well. Like, I think that first half, like up until the point where they scored, I think you could definitely make an argument that we were on top there and we looked more likely to score. And just from that point then, I think it's just such a lack of belief and lack of any kind of motivational factor from the sideline. Like the second we go behind, then it's like, well, we've done this many times this year and done fuck all. Like, we never come from behind to win games anymore. Let's just not bother our arses doing anything. And it just genuinely feels like that. It feels like the lads have just mentally checked out at this point. And I don't want to say I don't blame them, but like, could you be arsed like trying to do something when you know that there's no actual tactics going to come to help? There's no system. Like, you just know it's hopeless at this point. And that's the biggest thing about the manager. Like, the whole situation is hopeless, and it's gotten to the players now where you can see that they're feeling the same as we are with that.
How much of this, Chris, is down to the players versus how much of it is down to the manager? Because as I've said, we've nitpicked and we've laid out the truth for Arne Slot and how bad it's been. But some of these players really are they're not even playing for the fans at this point. And to see, I've never seen Liverpool fans leave an away stadium after 60 minutes in their droves. And you can make a metaphorical point about it. You can make an actual point about it with what their backs turned to the manager and the fans. The whole thing just stunk of something I never thought I'd see creep into Liverpool, which is kind of arrogance and a that'll do kind of attitude.
Yeah, I think a lot of it this season has been down to the manager. To be honest, the other day, I actually don't think much of it was. Like, I felt like what the manager did and how he set us up was actually okay. Like, we started really, really well, but the mentality was just so poor. Like, and I'm saying just this specifically the other day, not stopping crosses, like not having the desire to chase back. There were so many opportunities where City, luckily, like Van Dijk manages to get in the way and clear the ball away, and Haaland could have had 2 or 3 more. I think a lot of it was down to the players the other day. I'm not highlighting any individual. I think the whole collective 11. I just don't think they put hardly anything, like, compared to how we're so used to seeing Liverpool teams, even last season and even at the beginning of this, covering ground, busting your gut to get back. We've not seen that. And especially on Sunday, I think it was the absolute epitome of it. It was a pretty disgraceful showing. And the fact that I think the players, especially the captain, should come out and take true responsibility for it. But I don't think they've done that all season. There's been a lot of like blaming the outside. Like I've had enough of people blaming pundits for saying stuff. Like, I don't care what you think about what Jamie Carragher said or what Wayne Rooney said. Go and prove them wrong with your actions on the pitch. They haven't done that all season. And that's where, listening to all this noise, it's just irrelevant, man. Just go and prove it on the pitch.
Connor, there was one moment that I think summarised exactly how bad this has all gotten for us. And it probably got overlooked a little bit, but it's a simple moment. And I can't remember if it was the third or fourth goal, but it was the throw-in from Joe Gomez. And it aimlessly just threw the ball in any direction. I remember hearing from Thomas Grontmark about this and about how far Liverpool have fallen in that regard. He threw the ball and it found its way to Ryan Cherky. Cherky played the ball through, and I think it was the one where Semenyo scored, if my memory's right. And that just summarised and perfectly encapsulated the problems we have at the minute. That'll do attitude. That was such a pathetic throw. There wasn't even a Liverpool player within 5 yards of it. And that was the one, I think, that turned the game completely in their favour after the break.
Yeah, like I said, if you come out 2-0 second half and you like steady the ship for the first 5 or 10 minutes, maybe we get one back, and then there's an argument to be made that we might go on and get something from the game. But like conceding so early, and like you said, just the lackadaisical nature of it. And like we've said this all season about the whole like Slot and Van Dijk kind of too laid back thing. And then like you add on top of that then the fact that the players just don't seem to be arsed. Like it does lead to these type of moments. And like you said, just there was no one even near it. It was just like, right, I'll just lob that in. That's my job done. I don't need to do anything. And even for the fourth goal, then I believe, wasn't it? Gomez as well. Like he basically just stood there. Ball went past him, cut back to Haaland, he scores as well. Like it's so lazy. It's so, I don't know. It just every single player on the pitch just seemed to just down tools once we went behind. Like up until that point, I will give them their credit. They gave most of they gave nearly all of what they had, to be fair. But like after that point, it just completely mentally checked out. And I think that kind of sums it up really. The fact that they gave away the goal so quick after halftime.
It feels like they're almost making it be known they're not playing for the manager. Like, we can play, but we're sort of subconsciously or maybe consciously choosing not to. Chris, we're 8-9 months into the season now, and a question that I want to ask you is, do we even know what our best 11 is at this point?
Do you? Because I don't.
No, I honestly don't, mate. I could probably put together half of it, but I really don't know, because if you even just look at our star signing, Florian Wirtz, the one that we've actually gotten to see, because of course Isak's injuries have prevented him. He was brought in to be a 10, sole division of being a 10, and now he's a left winger.
Yeah.
I don't get the forward thinking here.
No, it is. If I was to name my team for the Champions League final, say we get to it tomorrow, which is a very, very big ambition, I couldn't tell you. It would, that's a real issue. Like, I understand football's a squad game, but like even last season, you'd have that set midfield three and the front three. It feels now that we're sort of like trying to find square pegs and round holes and trying to just. And I understand why the manager's doing it, because nothing beforehand has worked, but. I don't know. It must be a psychological thing rather than anything else, because these guys have been there and done it. They're not players who aren't good enough. I think no one's debating whether these guys are good enough or not, because we all know they are, and that's why it's so frustrating. To use Wirtz as an example, I thought the other day, I want to cut him some slack, but sometimes I just get so frustrated with him. Because I'm like, that it's just, he takes so long on the ball sometimes, and he gets pressured and he hasn't got used to that yet. And we're trying to get something, trying to grab something by the bollocks. And that's what's telling me that they're not playing for him 100%, because no one seems to be willing to do that.
Connor, if we were to go through and pull whatever our best 11 is for the season, I would make the argument that you could probably still make a good point to sell 3 or 4 of that best 11 justifiably.
Yeah, I think so. I think like we're in for a lot of change anyway, to be fair. I think like Salah's going to be leaving. Like there's a good chance like Andy Robertson leaves. Like McAllister could be sold. Szoboszlai, God only knows what's happening with him. Like I think it's going to be a lot of change. I think like if you try to pick our best starting 11, like even the fact that if you can't even confidently say who's going to be here next year, like in fairness, and like I know fair enough as well, there's been injuries and stuff like that which have impacted the manager's ability to actually pick the 11 he wants to, but like nothing works, does it? Like it doesn't seem like we have a best 11. We just have 11 players on the pitch every week who go out and get spanked by everyone. Like it's it's just depressing at this point. But it will be interesting to see, like, if Slough is here next year, which I highly doubt it, what kind, like, would he persist with this kind of 4-3-2 thing and maybe get Isak and Ekitike up front, or do we swap to a 3 at the back? Like, it will be fascinating, but I think at this current moment we can't really pick an 11, to be honest.
I would say we probably don't have a best 11, but it's who will commit the least amount of damage is probably where my head would be at these days when I'm looking at a team.